Welcome to the Global Eye. You are with me, Mosmi. Today we dive into a burning issue that's heating up South Asia's geopolitical map. The shifting equations between three crucial players India, Bangladesh, and China. With growing trade routes, military maneuvers, and strategic pacts, a subtle yet significant triangle of tensions is forming. The big question remains, are these nations friends, foes, or frenemies? China's Belt and Road Initiative continues to cut through South Asia, and Bangladesh is walking a tightrope between Beijing's investments and Delhi's strategic pressure. Meanwhile, India's Look East policy and regional security concerns grow stronger in the face of increasing Chinese influence at its doorstep. And as Bangladesh prepares to host more regional projects and elections, perhaps elections, the diplomatic balancing act becomes even trickier. Joining me today is a prominent, distinguished defense expert, General Dr. G.D. Bakshi, to decode the dynamics at play. Welcome to the Global Eye, sir. Sir,
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
so, how do you see this triangle tensions with China investing billions into Bangladesh infrastructure and ports? How real is this threat of Chinese military presence growing in the Bay of Bengal region? How do you see this tension actually?
All right. A bit of perspective is actually essential, right? And in the Joe Biden era, the Democrats had turned virulently hostile against India because of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Joe Biden had gone to the extent of saying, you are with us or against us, right? And
Right.
then he had pulled out all stops. India American relations have never reached such a low. The last time they had reached such a low was in the 1971 war when Richard Nixon had tilted towards Pakistan, right? And then they had let hell loose against India. And, they started supporting the ISI, the Khalistani terrorists, trying to revive terrorism in Punjab, in J&K. Then they did the coup in Bangladesh, the Maidan coup in Dhaka, right? A colored
Right.
revolution of sorts, in which they took the help of the ISI, they took the help of the Jamaat-e-Islami, penetrated almost every single student union in all the universities of Dhaka, and staged a colored revolution. And then, Muhammad Yunus, the darling of the democratic dispensation, was parachuted into Dhaka to take charge. What legitimacy does he have? Who has elected him to be the prime
Indeed.
minister, caretaker prime minister of Bangladesh? And once in, he just doesn't want to let go. He just doesn't want to have elections because he knows he'll be kicked out.
Of
The
course.
people of Bangladesh have had it. Initially the anarchy, felt very good for those upstart students. It was great to be able to loot Hasina Wajid's house, take away her sari and blouses, and loot everything in her house, and then attack the home minister's house, and then arrest the foreign minister, and then go to the chief justice's house and ask him to resign so that they could put in some kangaroo court there. You know, the simple fact is that for months and months and months, this chaos, this jihadi anarchy is not ending. The middle class in Bangladesh is fed up, right? The simple fact is that over a crore of workers in the ready-made garment industry, these have shut down. They are out of jobs. They are on the streets. People want 2 square meals a day. They want to feed them jihadi violence and anarchy. The freedom to rape, kill, murder, loot, etc. China did not have much to do with this. It was the United States of America that had done this. But
So do
there
you
has
think so?
since,
So
sorry,
do you think Bangladesh army is with the so-called advisor Mohammed Yunus now?
the Bangladesh army, they is the only bastion left in Bangladesh and between Bangladesh and absolute chaos, right? The police had been thoroughly demoralized. They had opened fire on the orders of the last government. Their families were attacked. They were attacked. And they said, we will not do any damn thing. You deal with it as you like. We are not sticking our necks out, right? So last September, the army was called in and given magisterial powers. The army was called in and given magisterial powers to deal with the situation because otherwise there was total chaos and anarchy. Then Pakistan's ISI intervened. They were in touch with the quartermaster general in the Bangladesh army. And without asking his chief, he had invited a Pakistani delegation, including the ISI chief. So when the Bangladesh army chief got to know, he had gone to Central African Republic for a tour. And then he got to know that a coup was being planned against him. They were planning to arrest him when he got back, right?
Right.
So he did not land back in Dhaka. Very intelligently, he landed back at Tejgaon. And from there, he contacted all his generals and brigadiers and formation commanders. And he read the riot out to them. Are you with me or are you with him? And then he came back and he put that man under house arrest, that quartermaster general. So the organizational coup, within the Bangladesh army failed. Now then the students, the student leaders who are trying to form their own party and they think they are calling the shots. The problem for them has been that the person who, pushed them into power, you know, Joe Biden is history.
Right.
George Soros had pumped in $6 billion for regime changes in Bangladesh and in India and in Sri Lanka, right? So the regime change in Sri Lanka had succeeded, regime change in Bangladesh had succeeded, in India it had failed altogether. But now all that US aid money has been stopped by Donald Trump. In fact, in his meeting with Prime Minister Modi, he told the press correspondents that I don't know much about Bangladesh, let Modi deal with it. So he
Yes.
gave a carte blanche to Modi to handle the situation in Bangladesh. Now the point is, here is, when Muhammad Yunus, that turncoat, whose only claim to fame is that he founded the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh to give microfinance loans to the fishermen and farmers. He had
Right.
given $6 lakh from that bank to Hillary Clinton for her presidential campaign against Donald Trump. Donald Trump, of course, didn't like it, and he has not forgotten or forgiven. So they are in a cleft stick now. Bangladesh, the entire revolt, the entire Arab Spring colored revolution there had been brought about by the CIA. And now America has, the whole dispensation in America has changed. So he had no option but to go to China, right? He tried to
Right.
go to China to play the China card against us. The problem is he is getting implacably hostile. He is now going all out to harm the national security interests of
Got it.
sorry, the national security interests of India. He has asked the Chinese to build airfield in the Rajshahi in the northern district, which abuts the Siliguri corridor at
Yes.
Lal Munir Hat. He wants the Chinese to build an airfield so that from there, their jet fighters, their planes, drones can attack the Siliguri corridor, the road and rail lines passing through the Siliguri corridor, right?
Right. Right.
And they're asking a Pakistani firm to do the construction. No. This is utterly amazing. This two penny, wannabe dictator, Muhammad Yunus,
Oh dear.
parachuted from Washington, most illegal regime, who wants to hang on to power in any which way possible, who's trying to make Bangladesh into East Pakistan all over again.
Yeah.
Nowhere in the world history have we seen an example of a freedom struggle to free Bangladesh from the yoke of Pakistani West Punjabi colonialism, wanting to go back to colonialism,
Yeah. Surprising.
and to have jihad, as its prime leitmotif, export of jihad instead of ready-made garments.
Yeah.
Under Hasina Wajid, Bangladesh was doing so well economically. It is only unfortunately COVID that disrupted their economic progress, and they took advantage of that to overthrow her in a undemocratic, unconstitutional coup. If you go by the Bangladesh constitutional tenets, even if Hasina Wajed has resigned, she will still be the caretaker prime
Yes.
minister till a proper emphasis on proper, government replacement government comes into power. So legitimately, Hasina Wajed is the prime minister of Bangladesh, not this Muhammad Yunus character, and he is out of control.
So then, do we see? So do we see
Sorry.
Bangladesh slowly? Do we see Bangladesh slowly becoming China's strategic pawn in South Asia? And what do you think India's strategy is to maintain diplomatic complacency? Do you think?
Look, as of now, we have been extremely patient with Bangladesh,
Right.
extremely patient and forgiving with
Yes.
Bangladesh. Bangladeshi clerics are threatening to attack and take over, Bihar, West Bengal, Odisha, right? They're threatening to wage a jihad, against India. They are trying to invite the ISI. The ISI has sent a shipload of weapons and ammunition to give to the Northeast rebels, just like they were doing earlier, right? They are trying
Right.
to establish a bridgehead for the destabilization of the Northeast in India. This was as per the American Joe Biden design. But like I said, the entire regime in Washington has changed, and there is a paradigm shift. Now, the point is, India needs to, if this hostility doesn't stop, so far we have been very kind and indulgent towards Bangladesh, especially in the time of Hasina Wajid, right?
Yes.
We didn't do anything against the cattle smugglers, the violent people on the border, etc. We took it on the chin because Hasina Wajid was very cognizant of India's national security interests, and she would do nothing to harm them. In fact,
Indeed.
the Americans had met her, you know, and told her that your election is assured, but you'll have to hand us over the St. Martin's Island. You'll help us to create a cookie land, a Christian cookie land on the borders of India and Myanmar, and and all these kind of things. And she had said a flat no, and she paid a price. Now there
Yes.
is no longer any further reason for India to show restraint. So far, we have shown admirable restraint. But if Bangladesh wants to threaten the Siliguri corridor, the chicken's neck,
Yes.
well, they have their own chicken's neck in the Chittagong hill tracts. We can easily cut it off in a matter of hours, right? And we
Right.
don't even have to do it ourselves. The Arakan National Army in Rakhine has been creating hell in that place. They have driven out the Rohingyas who were trying to rape their women and burn their cities and villages of the Hindus and the Buddhist tribes, right? Don't forget, this was a Hindu stroke Buddhist majority area, you know,
Right.
with the Buddhist tribals there. So they have been very rough. Now, Bangladesh is planning to shove the Rohingyas back towards India. They had tried to do that earlier. And can you imagine most of the Rohingyas were settled where? In Jammu and Kashmir, next to army cantonments to create chaos. They are traditional smugglers, human traffickers, gun runners. It is a criminal tribe. And
Right.
Bangladesh is now trying to push them again towards India. This is unforgivable. I think India has to exercise hard options. The whole international climate has changed.
Indeed.
America is talking of making Canada the 51st state of the United States. They want to take over Greenland for their national security interests. They want
Yes.
to take over the Panama Canal, right? So if
Right.
they can do that, we can equally take over the Siliguri corridor, widen it.
Right.
People forget that India has the 17 strike corps deployed in Panagarh in West Bengal, just
Yes.
next to the Siliguri corridor. And should Bangladesh want to threaten the Siliguri corridor, invite the Pakistanis or the Chinese to cut off this corridor, you think we will take it lying down? The 17th Strike Corps can cut the entire, that Rangpur district, which sticks out like a bloody thumb towards the Siliguri corridor. We can cut it off in a matter of days, if not hours. Maximum 1 to 3 days, and that entire Rangpur district will be part of India. And the chicken's neck will become the elephant's neck. And
How
all further,
ridiculous, sir? How
all,
ridiculous do you think, sir? Uh, uh,
sorry,
how ridiculous do you think when Muhammad Yunus says that Bangladesh is the garden of the ocean?
Bangladesh, this Muhammad Yunus has delusions of grandeur. I fear for his mental balance and sanity. Does he not know that India has the largest segment, which abuts the Bay of Bengal? He is feeling very thrilled about his that we dominate the Bay of Bengal. We are the owners of the Bay of Bengal. He, I think, needs to wake up and smell the coffee. India can blockade Bangladesh, right? We have the whole coastline, right from Odisha down to South India, which abuts the Bay of Bengal. The Indian Navy has got a massive base in Visakhapatnam, Kolkata, etc. We can choke Bangladesh off from the sea. He is
Right.
telling China that the northeastern states are landlocked. This man is daft. They have access to the Bay of Bengal via the port of Kolkata, one of the biggest ports in the world, and also in the Kaladan port in Myanmar, which we are developing, right? This
Right.
man needs, and he is inviting China to take over, if you please. I mean, I don't know whether he was drunk or what. I don't know whether he still drinks. He's an octogenarian, above 80, 86 or so. And the way he was talking, it seemed like he was not in possession of his faculties. So this man needs to be given a reality check. And those stupid student hoodlums, hooligans, who have held Bangladesh to ransom for all these months, now need to be brought down a notch or two. So far,
Right.
we have shown admirable restraint on the Bangladesh border. The BSF was told to take it easy, not fire.
Right.
Even when they were attacked by these Bangladeshi smugglers, cattle smugglers, and others, and who threatened to snatch away their weapons, they were under orders not to fire. I think these orders need to be revoked, and we need to, shoot down. I mean, a couple of hundred of these cattle smugglers, and there will be total peace and quiet on that frontier. And should then Bangladesh want to misbehave further, then the 17th Strike Corps can simply move in, take over the Rangpur district, and remove all threats to the Siliguri corridor, the so-called Chicken's Neck. If they
Yes.
dare to construct an air base at Lal Manir Hat, our Pinaka multi-barrel rocket launchers can snuff out this thing within minutes. That
Right.
air base and all the F-7 stupid legacy jet fighters they have purchased from China, half of which don't fly and the other halves don't have their radars working. They are the equivalents of our MiG-21s of the 1960s vintage. So if they think that with that they can deal with India, well, I think they need a serious reality check, and it is about time we gave it to them. And not only should we take the Rangpur district to ensure our national security, we should
Right.
also cut off the Chittagong Hill tracts and that narrow chicken's neck that they have and make a greater Tripura, right?
Thank you
So
so
that
much, sir.
this
Thank
is
you
what
so.
needs to be done. And I don't think we should be very squeamish about it. If
Okay.
we are squeamish, then we should use the Arakan National Army. The Bangladesh army is shit scared of the Arakan National Army. They know they can't handle them. They are
Okay.
a professional force which has beaten the Myanmar army, which is a tough fighting
Tough.
army. The Bangladesh army has done no fighting apart from UN missions. The last fight they were in was in the 71 war when we helped them massively. 3,800 Indian officers, JCOs, and men died to free Bangladesh. And look at the way they are repaying us. Look at the way their Razakars, they were the people who supplied Bengali women to the Pakistani army. They helped them against their own people who were fighting for the liberation of Bangladesh, the Mukti Jodhas. And now they are trying to destroy all traces of the liberation struggle, demolish like Saddam Hussein statues, topple the statues of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and the freedom fighters. I think we need to intervene, because if Pakistan thinks it is the boss of South Asia, I think they need a bloody kick, and the faster the better. That country is teetering on the brink of economic collapse. They are having civil war. Baluch Liberation Army is giving them hell. The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan is giving them hell. So is there a revolt in Sindh, in Gilgit-Baltistan. And to top it all, they have now tried to finger the Taliban in Afghanistan.
Right.
And they are hell bent on taking revenge, because very grandly they sent their F-16 fighter bombers to bomb two villages in Afghanistan and killed about 54 women and children. Afghan women and children. The Taliban hasn't liked it, and they will do their bit now to get Pakistan's senses in its senses. And if Pakistan thinks that it will fly troops across India to attack us in the Siliguri corridor, they'll be shot down halfway. And if they do land in Siliguri, anywhere near the Siliguri corridor, they are not going back alive. Let's make it very clear and plain. Nobody messes around with our national security. We have taken enough nonsense. We have given enough rope to this Muhammad Yunus and his upstart student gangs to hang themselves.
Should we take China as a strategic threat?
Most certainly, China is a strategic threat. But the simple fact is that China is now heavily embroiled on its east coast with Taiwan and South China Sea. That is why they have asked for a thaw with us. I don't think China will be very keen to mess around with India and open a second front when it is facing America, Japan, Taiwan in the Pacific coast. Most of their cities and industrial centers are on the east coast of China. So they want to focus in that strategic direction. I don't think China is very keen to mess around with India at the present time.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening views. I think all the viewers would be impressed today listening to you. And we will join. And let me tell you, everyone, we had General Dr. Bakshi with us today on the Global Eye. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
In the great geopolitical chessboard of South Asia, Bangladesh stands at the center of its choices, ripping across regional power equations. While India seeks to protect its backyard, China is playing a long game of influence through soft power and strategic infrastructure. Now the line between friend, foe, and frenemy is blurrier than ever. Stay tuned to the Global Eye for more insights with me, Maushmi Kalita Sachdeva. Thank you.